Here we have a really simple service, right, that can is providing several read operations from a data source. And our data source right now is this simple array. Eventually, we'll replace this for being a database, right? But for now, let's just stick to this simple array. All right, so what we want to do is expose this data model, right, this set of functions, right, as a endpoint, right, so that we can hit it and retrieve it or request it from a client using HTTP AJAX, right? So what we're going to do is in a controller, we're going to build here a file that can use this service to expose this as a web service, right? So this will be questions.controller.server, right? And in here, we're going to create we want to use the express, right? We're going to use the express to respond to a URL such as this one, right? I think the query that we wanted to use was this. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, we want to do something like this, right? API quizzes 234, and then the questions. So let's copy that. This is the URL we want to respond to. Let's go back to our code. There it is. And so what we want to do is we're going to pass the quiz ID as an argument. So this will be quiz ID, right? And then here we're going to use the request response. We want to retrieve, right, the quiz ID as maybe in a local variable quiz ID. We can say request dot params and then QID. Once we have the QID, we can maybe use the service that we just wrote, right? Let's do that. So we have a service here. We can say const the what was it called? Was questions service. We can require that, and it's going to we have to go up one and then down to services and down to questions service. There it is. Now we have bound here. It's the map that is exposing several functions. So in particular, we would like to be able to find this, find a question. Questions for the quiz, right? So we're going to use the question service, right? And we can find the question by ID. There it is. And we can pass the quiz ID. There it is, right? Once we have that, we can store it maybe in a local array. And we say const questions, right? And then we can respond and send it back to the client, whoever requested this. We can say response that sent back as a JSON format. Right, we can send back the questions. Okay, excellent. Obviously, we would have to also expose all the other ones. We've only been using this one, find question by ID, for questions for quiz, right? Questions for quiz. This one. Oh wait, no. Questions for no. It's this one. Sorry. Questions for quiz. There we go. But certainly we can expose all the other ones, right? For find all questions, find question by ID. But we'll leave that for a little later. Let's see if we can implement just this one. Notice that we need the app here, right, to be passed on to us, right, from above, right, from the server that is instantiating the instance of the Express library. So for that, we already know how to do that, right? We're going to export this whole thing as a function that's going to take as argument the instance of the app. And we're going to just put this inside there. There we go. Once we have that, we can go back to our server, right, and require this brand new control that we just built, right, controllers, and this is the questions controller, and we're going to pass as a parameter an instance, a reference to the Express instance, right? Once we have that, we can restart the server and head back to our API here, to our browser, and if we refresh, notice that indeed now we have the questions for quiz 234, right? And we have 1, 2, 3 questions. You see that? If we use 345, we have 2 questions for quiz 345, or we have 1 questions for quiz 123. See that? Right? So there we have it. We have now a controller that is exposing, right, all the questions for a given quiz.